That's not true. That Allah teaches us that, for example, we can never, because He said, He uses the verse of the Quran, uh, that you will never find those who believe in Allah and His Messenger, yuwad alladhina kafaru, that they, now He said that they are friends. Now yuwad is from the verb, the third fi'al mufa'ala, which is a reciprocal, a kind of where you have another person involved, and it's to do from the word would, about love. That you are kind of expressing this overwhelming love for them. And but He said in His interview that Allah is saying you can't be friends with them unless they don't, those who challenge Islam in any way. So if an atheist is challenging the validity of Islam, then you cannot be friends with him. That verse definitely is not saying anything like that. Okay. That is not at all, because in all honesty, all people to some extent who don't believe in Islam are challenging Islam to some extent. They may not be so vocal, but at their own level, obviously, if they believed in Islam, they would be Muslim. I mean, this is given the pretext that they've heard about Islam. They would say, yeah, that's, some. It's like I might not be openly challenging, let's say, I may not be preoccupied with challenging Hinduism or Sikhism, but ultimately, my very lifestyle choice denies its, like, I don't agree with it, and I would challenge it at some level. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're not part of something, you're ultimately always challenging it, but it's maybe you're on a spectrum. So it's not true that non-Muslims in the past, in the Prophet's lifetime, who weren't declaring war against Muslims, were somehow happy with Islam as well. That is not a necessary follow. So it doesn't, that doesn't follow necessarily. So we've got, there would have been very many people that would have just been like, oh, okay, we don't have animosity against Islam, but we think they may have thought it's wrong, they may have thought it's dumb, they may have thought it's stupid, but they may not have had open animosity against it. So coming back to this point, this verse of the Quran, where it says that expressing a love for those people, first of all, this verse was revealed at a time when Muslims were being attacked, and the non-Muslims were forming allies and a confederation of different tribes to attack the Muslims. And you had some people who still had ties with some of those different tribes. So Allah was saying that, you won't find somebody who's in his heart a believer, and yet he's got that tribe over the Muslims, their interest best at heart. So this is what the verse of the Quran was speaking about. It's not speaking about, oh, you can't be friends with. That's stupid, because if you can marry Christians and Jews, then of course there's going to be love. There's got to be some kind of love, right? So the thing is, or at the very least, there's going to be a friendship, a kind of friendship. So to say that, well, no, you must only be harsh against non-Muslims, and that is utterly unacceptable. So I hope that this was maybe a kind of like a blunder, that, maybe Muhammad Hijab didn't think it through and he just said it, or he was trying to say something else and he said that. But otherwise, I do see in him some maturity of thought, and I'm hopeful that maybe in years to come, maybe not right now, because right now he's still, like, his kind of, the field he's arguing from is a very kind of Salafi-esque standpoint, and Salafis, in all honesty, cannot stand a chance in front of people like atheists or things like that. They cannot stand a chance. It doesn't. The Salafi, their view of looking at things, their doctrine, it's all anthropomorphic. The whole thing, they don't, and they were never people of argumentation. So you will see even people like Muhammad Hijab, or let's say other people like that, who are of a Salafi kind of background, when it comes to arguing, they will use Ash'ari arguments, they will use Maturidi arguments, because those were the people historically in the Muslim sciences who argued for theology. The Hanbalis didn't. They were, just like a literalist, textualist people. I mean, they were very harsh, but they were never really geniuses of philosophy or theology or things like this. But yeah, so I wanted to say that. And I think it's worth noting here that, this whole thing, al wala wal bara lillah, this is a Salafi Wahhabi thing, right? That this thing of we love and we hate for the sake of God. This does not exist in our tradition. This is a Wahhabi invention that through mass kind of advertising and a lot of petroleum dollars behind this da'wah, they've managed to spread a lot of glossy literature throughout the world that everybody today has heard of this term, al-wala wal-bara lillah. This al-wala wal-bara is some Hanbalis, mainly Wahhabis. It's the thing that people like Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab bases his whole, I can't really say movement, his insurgency on, where he goes around and he uses that as a justification to kill other Muslims. So you see, this thing, if you check this up, al-wala wal-bara, it's only written by Saudi scholars and Gulf scholars and Wahhabi scholars. Nobody else spoke about this kind of thing like this. I mean, maybe if they were speaking about in a different context and you could kind of extract like a word from there and give it a little, but they never spoke like, by the way, we have al-wala wal-bara lillah, we hate for the sake of Allah, we do this, we do, like as a belief construct. I'm not saying you may find certain things that weren't being said like that, but you could see these words in, like, so for example, Allah saying that he doesn't like disbelief. He doesn't like the plot of the disbelievers. He doesn't, and using words like kurah. But even then, and you'll find Allah saying in the Quran that He is bari, that the Messenger is bari, there is bara'ah, that they have no association with the people who've gone against the covenant and so on. And this is what bara means in essence, like a detachment of association. It does not mean hatred. Okay, but this new thing that we have, that you must love and hate for the sake of God, it's an innovation in Islam, and it is nothing but kind of Salafi stroke Wahhabi propaganda. So do not buy into things like that. So if you see things like that, okay.